All right, everybody. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle here. Welcome to the Thursday Night Forum. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome. And we are back in the Champions League. And, I've got Stan in that corner because we intended Stan to host, but we're going to do we're going to bounce off each other tonight. Gary's going to join us a little bit later. Who knows who might be in? I don't know how Tony's doing. I hope Tony's doing okay. But, yeah, we'll take it from there. You know what I mean? Big up Stan, the man. So we're back, Stan, and I gotta say the high standards of Mikel Arteta. I gotta give Mikel Arteta some flowers here, right?
Oh,
high
for sure.
standards of Mikel Arteta, because we've seen over the years what a badly run team, and not only team but club, can look like. We've lived through it for the last 5, 6, 7 years. And we're back.
Well, there was so much anticipation. It's been so long now since we've been dining at the top table. I mean, my plan was, because of the time difference, was that, I was finishing work at 3, going to rush home and watch it on replay without looking at my phone or hearing anything from anybody. So I was like watching it fresh. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I woke up with a really bad stomach and I was off. I decided not to go to work that day, and I've been off today, so I actually got to watch it live, which kind of was like a treat. It's always nice to watch it live with the rest of the world. And wow, I mean, it's only the first game, but what a way to announce ourselves back on the big stage. And this is now our is this our 6th game all in all competitions now? Yeah, since the league has started.
It is
5 league games, our 6th game. And I'd probably say that as an overall performance for me, it felt like that was, for me, was this season was our best performance.
Yeah.
And in saying that, I also felt like I didn't feel that we never hit top gear either, if that makes sense. We had a really good showing. I thought we looked very comfortable. Maybe that was a little bit to our advantage because PSV only play one way. And what I mean by that is the manager that they've got there, who took over from Ruud van Nistelrooy, he has a certain way of playing. And he was asked once at the end of a match where they didn't do favourably, about the plan B, if there was a plan B. And he basically said, well, the plan B is to do plan A better.
So he's a bit like Mikel.
So if you're somebody like Mikel, he's probably looked at their tactics, understands how they play. He knows what their strengths and what the weaknesses were. They were only going to play one way, and they play in a way that I think suits Arsenal as well. They play very open style of football. They do like to try and have a go, which means that they're susceptible to leaving space at the back. They don't come in with a low block and try to nobble us like a lot of teams have in that way. Yeah. So it kind of suited us, and I think it was good to have a game like that because I think it allowed the players to really express themselves. But I'm not taking anything away from our team. I thought that was a very, very good team performance.
Good performance indeed. Shout out to Paul Nell, who is here, routed here from Danny while doing the dishes. So good of you to be here, Paul. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle. Stephen, good evening to all as well. Good evening, everyone. BX Gunner is in here. Stan, laughing my ass off, Stan. I called out today because my stomach was shot today. Does that mean you called off on a Thursday or did you call off on the Wednesday? That was definitely our best outing this season. Our chemistry is rising.
That's a good word, yeah, chemistry.
Stephen agrees. Stan, I agree. It was easily our best match this season. And I think we've been talking about this through preseason. You never want to hit the first game of the season at 100%. Especially now you got to time your preseason perfectly, Stan. So we did it. We've dropped 2 points at Fulham, to Fulham. But notwithstanding, we've had a pretty good start to the season.
Very good start to the season. I mean, I think as a team and also the players individually have, we've got a bench now that when we go to that there doesn't seem to be a huge drop off, which I'm really enjoying. And I know that we're probably talking about the match in more detail, and we'll talk about the substitutes in more detail. But I'm really like this feeling of having a good squad, not just the first 11, and
Yeah.
then these other guys in the background who, you know, if you have to call them and be like, oh, I don't really want to go there, you know. So I'm enjoying this squad that we have.
Yeah. When you think about it, Stan, we have injuries and we're not missing. Of course, we don't want injuries, but we're not missing the players that are injured. Thomas Partey, we got Declan Rice there, who seems to be coming into his own and getting stronger and stronger this week. Up at Goodison, we'll talk about Goodison a little bit later. Really good game at Goodison. Declan Rice contributing yesterday as well to the Champions League, and unfortunately, Martinelli getting injured, but that means you've got an opportunity for somebody called Leandro Trossard, who we've been touting before he came to the club, and now he's starting to show his true colours at Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to go straight into the players now before we maybe talk about the
No,
lineups first. Should we talk
we
about
can then whatever. It's a
Yeah?
fluid conversation. You can direct me. I can direct you. If
Okay.
you want to go into the players, definitely we can do that.
Well, look, just I mean, obviously that's the first thing that you do, isn't it? You know, about an hour before, you know, you start really, don't you? An hour
Mm.
before the kickoff, you grab your phone and you
Oh,
try
wow.
and find out who we're putting out there. And I wasn't surprised to see David Raya make an appearance. I was wondering what he was going to do. I didn't know if he would do it, but it didn't
Sure.
surprise me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I kind of like it. I kind of like a little bit of ruthlessness. You
I
know,
do too.
you know, there is a part of me that kind of feels that, you know, Aaron Ramsdale's been looking far too happy and confident of late. It's like, you know, we've got to knock him down off that perch a little bit. You know, this is a job that we're doing here. Do you know what I mean? There's a little bit of that to
Competitive
it,
job. Yeah.
a little bit of that to it. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who plays in the North London derby, because I mean, it's definitely not a case of, well, this keeper plays in the Premier League, this keeper's going to play in the Champions League.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
that's totally off. Not doesn't look the course, because Rayad's played in 2 competitions now.
Yeah.
You know,
Mikel has shown his cards, right, Stan?
and even though Arsenal is a step up from Brentford, you know, I don't see a number 1 keeper from a Premier League club, and a Premier League club that doesn't flirt with relegation, so they're safe in that respect, you know. But I don't see a number 1 goalkeeper from a Premier League club leaving to go and be a backup goalkeeper at another Premier club, even if the League club they're going to is bigger, you know, and has more chance of winning things. If you're going to be the backup, then you're not involved, are you? So I just feel that he must have had some kind of assurances from the management or the coaching, you know, when he was making his decision to
Mhm.
leave his number 1 spot at Brentford to be an on loan player at Arsenal, where they've got an established keeper already. It's not a
Yeah.
case like, you know, it's not a case like we lost someone. Ramsdale was leaving and he's coming to replace. He's still there. So there must have been assurances, and you know, fair play to the manager. If he thinks that there's an upgrade that needs to be done in a certain area, then that's, for me, that's what it's all about. You know, that's what we all do in FIFA and career mode, don't we? We all look at it. We all have our own opinions. We dismantle the team. We spend all of that money. We spend, you know, especially if you press that button that gives you the financial takeover, or you get like £1 billion to spend. You
Yeah.
dismantle the team. You
Yeah.
go for upgrades.
Yeah.
And if the
Listen,
manager has that kind of sentiment, rather than being sentimental, then I kind of applaud that. I'm not saying that you should go out of your way to belittle people and not think of their feelings, but the team does come first. And if, you know, I was asking myself the question the other day, when we were going out to get Ramsdale, had David Raya been available at the same time and we had a clear shot at either one, I wonder where we would have gone first.
we would have probably taken David Raya because we did inquire about him when Brentford were being promoted to the Premier League. We inquired about David Raya, and a lot of Arsenal fans wanted us to go for Ivan Toney. At the time, we didn't quite know what he was going to do in the Premier League, but now we know a little bit more. I will differ a little bit with you in terms of he came to Arsenal for competition. I don't know if he was given assurances as such. You know what I mean? But I do agree with you. Um, sentiment would have told me the lads that got us to the Champions League should really have started the first match of the Champions League. And one of the lads last year was Aaron Ramsdale. But yeah, it's a little bit of sentiment there, right?
Moses is Ramsdale reminds me of Moses. Do you know what I mean? Moses, he led the people for 40 days and for 40 nights through the desert. He eventually gets them to the promised land, and then God turns around and goes, "You're not going in."
Yeah,
transgressions.
The sea caved in on him again. They parted the sea, they crossed.
But and that's a little bit like Ramsdale. I feel like he's been left at the gates of the Champions League, you know, while everybody else has gone in. They've stopped him. They've checked his ID. No, sorry, mate. Your name's not down. You're not coming in.
So I think it's a great discussion to have. Mikel Arteta comes out at Goodison Park, and we're still talking about Champions League here, but comes out at Goodison Park and says, why not use a goalkeeper as a substitution within a game?
Was you thinking what I was thinking? I was thinking, I wonder if he's going to do this in the game. Like 65 minutes, he's going to swap the keepers just to show everybody, I can do this if I
can do it. I have the power. I can do it.
I have that power in my mind. I bet he does it.
Go on. Now he's talked about it. I'm sure he will do it during a game. I think if we're in that situation where we go a goal down, you know, we need an injection of energy. You see it in.
He has 5 substitutes he can use now, right? Instead of 3. So.
Yeah. You see it in other sports as well, and I just wonder if it will happen. But the traditionalists, you know, you're a traditionalist. How do you feel about the goalkeeper not having a number 1 position in the team?
I kind of agree with Mikel Arteta that why can't you have, you know, a couple of players for each position that are right up there and having competition? You know,
so you're okay with it?
Yeah, you watch the players in training. You see who looks at it. Obviously, if you've got a 2 goalkeepers that are both almost in an equal kind of platform, you know, then you can rotate as well to keep them fresh. You know, there's 4 competitions that we play in. You know, why does the goalkeeper have to be the same person for every single game? I suppose it's because, as I say, you know, traditionally there's two or 3 goalkeepers, and you have a clear number 1 whose ability is better, and then the number 2 and the number 3 aren't quite there. But if you do have one that's, you know, has similar ability, then you've got license to do it, right?
Yeah. And if you have Ramsdale or Raya having a stinker first 20 minutes of a game, you have an option to change your goalkeeper.
Yeah,
you know,
or even for the next game, you know, if something happens towards the end of one game and it's quite bad, you know, you don't have to worry about having to put the same guy out there and hoping he can play through form. You've got another option that if you want to take him out of the firing line, you can do that, as opposed to, say, someone like a David De Gea having multiple stinkers, but your worry is that if you take him out and the guy that comes in might be a young lad or someone that you're going to be putting straight in, might not be quite ready, might not be as up to it, and then you might end up exposing a second goalkeeper. You know?
So
rather than having to play through the pain, we don't have to play through the pain if one of our goalkeepers goes through a bad patch of form.
And what we've done in the off season as well is pretty much upgraded from Matt Turner to David Raya. So we clearly upgraded in the goalkeeping position. Matt Turner saw the opportunity to get some first team football with Nottingham Forest, and we pulled off a masterstroke. He turned down going to Spurs for 40 million, David Raya. And there must have been something going on with Arsenal. An opportunity, and we got an option to buy for 27 million and a 3 million loan for David Raya. So great piece of business.
That convinces me even more that there must have been a conversation and assurances, because again, you know, if it was a case of leaving Brentford for a bigger platform, well, he could walk straight into Tottenham and be their number 1, as you just mentioned.
Yeah,
but he was still set on coming to Arsenal, and I know that he does have that connection, doesn't he, with the goalkeeping coach? He's kind
Yes.
of a bit of a mentor to him,
Yes.
you know. So there's a draw there as well. And I'm not saying that he was given a nailed-on guarantee, but maybe some assurances that you will get a run of games, and then it's open to you. It's open. It's the floor is then yours to impress and perhaps keep that position. And if you believe in your abilities, then make the
Yeah.
move.
Yeah. And, he's gone to a club who's inquired about him for 2 seasons back, I think it was, and to that coach, a goalkeeping coach who he's worked with before. So there is a familiarity there and probably a comfort level that made him want to come to Arsenal. We all know the Mikel Arteta famously saying the Arsenal knock. Maybe that was Raul said the Arsenal knock is not a normal knock, but also Mikel Arteta saying um, if we don't have to chase, we shouldn't have to chase players if they want to come. Players should be clamoring to come to this club. You know what I mean? Welcome, Gary. We're
Right,
on
Gary?
we're, we're
Hello.
on the goalkeeping conversation, Gary. So,
Goalkeeper.
Paul,
We don't have a controversy or anything, a
not
situation,
a
or
Yeah, there's no
conversation,
elephant in the room there.
what are you
a
talking about that for?
conversation.
Yeah.
Paul said, "Nuts how your opinion can change in a week. Still feel the narrative between the keepers is overblown." And I think a lot of things are media driven, right?
Can I just ask Paul there? When you say your opinion has changed in a week, is that was that because maybe at the beginning of the week you were sort of like, yeah, Ramsdale, keep him in, and now you've seen Raya, you're like, oh, I quite like what I've seen. Maybe
And
is that what you're saying? Like, you feel that your
yeah,
opinion's changed in that way over a couple of games? I just wondered what you
with,
means by that.
yeah, and he goes on to say here, which means 2
Oh,
clean sheets. Then Raya seems like a more composed keeper, but it was against 2 inferior opponents. Yeah, but
mm.
Everton and Goodison has been traditionally tough. PSV have had a good start to their season, so Raya has been. We haven't really seen Raya pull off a really good save because he's been composed. You know.
Yeah, we've not
Yeah.
had we've not let the opposition put us into that position as well, which is
Yeah.
also good.
Yeah. All right, Gary. Gary, you're settled in now.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the goalkeeper.
Where'd he go? What did I do to him?
Well, Stan.
Look,
I'm
No,
going to go and get
Stan.
a drink while Gary's chatting.
Yeah. Yeah. Get it.
Look,
Well,
left me sitting there.
I'm actually
No,
going to go
you-
down the shops and get it. No, I'm joking.
Stan, we have
I'm going to get a
put
cab. Get a
Gary.
bus.
Stan, we have put Gary in a better situation, a better position to succeed than he did on Sunday when he covered the show for us. So thank you, Gary, for taking
No
there.
problem.
I thought Mahir could join you. I thought Stan could join you, but through a number of situations, you were left on your own lonesome for a little bit, and then Tom joined you. So thank you, Gary.
No problem. No problem. That's good.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the keepers, Gary? What's your take?
I just think it's the same as every. It's the same as everything else. Every other time that we've had a goalkeeper come in, Arteta still doesn't have the one he wants, which is interesting because I never thought he had the left 8, but he seemed to think he did. But the goalkeepers always thought we're okay, and every time we've seemed to have changed now, right? This is the second time now, right?
Yeah. I saw I think it was African Gunner. I thought there was like a little like a evolution of man. It showed the evolution of Arsenal's goalkeepers. So Czech was there. We went to the next, maybe Leno, and then we went to Martinez. And each and every step we're getting bigger and better. We went to Ramsdale, and now arguably you could say David Raya is a slightly better goalkeeper than Ramsdale.
Yeah,
So
I think it's the traits that he has that Arteta will take some, as you know, he'll take some of these additional traits. He'll take some of the non-traditional traits of the player over their main role, because many will say, Zinchenko should be a defender first, but we know that he's more of an offensive, going forward type player and less of a defender. So
Mm-hmm.
Rhea, once again, is we haven't seen him stop, but I believe the stats show that he has done that.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward, he's really good at that, right? I mean, there was a couple of. I watched the game. I've watched it twice now because I didn't get to watch. I didn't really get to watch it live. I missed probably most of it. I was trying to watch it as much as I could.
Yeah.
But there's those long passes from Rhea that are sitting, hitting Saka,
Yeah.
on a dime basically. So
Yes.
so not gone are the days where we just boot the ball up the pitch and the other team gets it. We hope, anyways. But that's what
Yeah.
we saw in that last match in Champions League. So it could be that these teams are poor, not as good as the ones we played, but uh, you know, I think we're much better than we shown against the teams that
I
we gave
think.
up goals against, right?
Yeah.
We're
This is
not.
a
Yeah,
key comment here where Paul talks about a composed keeper.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
important
A lot of
for a
people
team.
said everything. He seemed to calm things down, and that's kind of like what I recall. What we saw from Partey. I mean, just when he's
Mm-hmm.
on, the game just
He's
kind of
on it.
just like calms down when he
Yeah.
gets the ball at his feet. So Raya, it seems like the same thing.
Paul. Paul.
I mean, he doesn't um, cough the ball up, and he does go up at a high peak on those crosses, which Leno. I mean, we haven't seen him. We don't see him do that as consistently as we would like.
Yeah.
Um,
Paul goes on saying not really a stats guy, but pods have said his distribution is better.
yeah,
He's more composed. We're talking about percentages here, Gary. We're talking about like minor percentages, just improving that extra 1 or 2%.
I think it's a lot more than that. I doubt it's just a small percentage in the areas that he's really good at. I believe his area, the areas that he is improving at, I believe it's more than just a small. I don't think I think defensively it might be a small difference. Either Leno or him are better, but I think
Yeah.
the ball control at the feet, I think he's got that down. I think that's where he's going to excel, and that's what
Yeah.
Arteta it seems wants. Um, I mean, you saw it a couple of times with the way the ball just moved in the backfield, right? Hey there, Noe.
Now he's in the house. Hey
So,
guys,
so
Noe, good to see you again. Of course, everyone here. It's always great to see the faces coming back each and every podcast. So Paul, hopefully you can do that as well. Come back each and every podcast. Stan is the draw for Paul. Um, some people like Tony, some people like me, and definitely Gary's got to follow him as well. Tiger and Gooner, morning lads from Australia. Hope you're
hello.
doing well on the cusp of the weekend.
Yeah,
Raya is better with his feet than Ramsdale.
I think that's the difference, and that's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think a lot of goalkeepers are good shot stoppers, or else they wouldn't be able to keep a job. It's kind of like defenders. Playing a fullback, they're usually good defenders, or else they don't. So
So stay with you, Gary.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
Stan sips his first
hmm
drink there.
yep.
Gary, if Pep Guardiola was doing this, would there be people talking about, the goalkeeper substitution changes, whatever you're going to call it, from Arteta? If Pep was doing it, would it be seen differently?
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, yes. If the best manager in the world does something, yeah, they're just going to assume he knows what he's doing, all right? Because he's done it before, or he has an idea, and
Thanks,
he's.
Paul.
So yeah, no,
Cheers,
Arteta
Paul.
doing it, but I mean, Arteta has done some weird things, and they always seem to pan out, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
even though everything we kind of like second guess him on a couple of times, most of the time, it usually is fine. The only time I have issues sometimes is when he brings in players that he takes a risk on and never works. For me, that's otherwise everything else he's done seemed to have worked. Kyrgios
yeah,
coming in too soon, that he's happy. He's more that shows confidence, which we want. So those are most of the time he's been, I guess, spot on with his decisions. And he backs it up with the way that he treats the players after that. So he wanted Raya. He's got Raya. I think we've seen this before. international break player comes back. If he's going to make a change, he makes the change, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
so I don't think we have. It's nothing we haven't seen before. So we'll see how if Rhea start. I mean, I think most people assume Rhea will start this weekend. If that's the road we're going down.
I don't know anymore. I cannot predict what Mikel is going to do. And usually I got a pretty good beat on
Yeah.
what he does. But this
No,
goalkeeper is
if this
surprising.
why is this any different than when Ramsdale came in?
It's not.
So that's why I'm saying. So
Yeah,
if he's following, he's shown us his cards. So
yeah.
if these aren't the same, if he's changed his deck on us, we'll find out. I guess on Sunday. But
If
we've seen
Mikel
this
is playing
before.
with a full deck, we'll see
Yeah.
on Sunday.
Maybe he'll sort of choose Ramsdale because the first game back in the Champions League after 6 years, that's a big game, followed up by an equally big game on the calendar, the North London Derby. So maybe by selecting Ramsdale for the North London Derby, it gives him a feeling of that he's still part of things. But if he
Mhm.
doesn't select him and continues with Raya, that would be, if I was Aaron Ramsey, I'd be thinking like I've either got up what I'm doing in training,
Yep.
or I'm not long for this world.
Yeah, you either face. I think we've seen it in this squad now. The competition has been accepted by a lot of the players, and we're seeing. We'll talk about Fabio Vieira. We'll talk about Trossard, and maybe Reece Nelson, Eddie and Ketty even. You know what I mean? They've kind of accepted the competition within the squad and have brought bigger things out of their game to do that, I believe. And hopefully we see Emil Smith Rowe as well taking a big step forward. He did come on in the latter stages of this Champions League game. But yeah, it's hard to, Gary, it's hard to pick Ramsdale now after you've got 2 clean sheets, 5 goals for in 2 games. David
Well,
Raya,
like I said,
you know,
Arteta's already shown this. So if he changes up, that means either he's growing and he knows where he wants to go, or he's going to do what he's going to do, which means he's going to put his number 1 goalkeeper in there, and Ramsdale will have to just, when he'll just whatever he gets a chance to play, he'll play.
you can't say number 1 when it comes to goalkeepers.
We'll find, like I said, we'll find out, right? I mean, at some point, it's why not? why can't he just move? He can switch his number 1. He's done it already,
Yeah.
And he knows now that Ramsdale is a commodity and a really good transfer candidate if he needs to sell him, right?
You just got to keep him warm till January or next summer.
Yeah. No, I mean, I believe his body of work speaks for itself. So if he were shut out, for example, on games, I don't think it would matter because somebody would want to pick up a goalkeeper and then a Premier League starting goalkeeper in January.
I think we're coming toward the end of this goalkeeper chats, but Stan, do you think we need to keep both goalkeepers warm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to know.
We keep kind of maybe doing some kind of rotation to see if there can be a clear winner.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Give them both equal opportunity until there's one that deserves more opportunity than the other. I don't know.
I guess if Arteta is ruthless, he will stick with Raya for the North London Derby, and there is a Carabao Cup game next midweek, which will be Brentford, and that could be Ramsdale.
Or he's made up his mind. I mean, he's seen Ramsdale for a couple years now.
Yep.
Came into the summer break, and they still made a decision to bring in Raya, right? They could have brought in another goalkeeper similar to Turner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we wouldn't have thought anything different about it. But they went out there and got a starting goalkeeper. I don't know how
they could have stuck
that sounds pretty clear. No, I'm saying no.
No one would have said nothing if he was still the backup and Ramsdale's.
No.
You know what I mean? If it had stayed,
yeah.
I don't think anyone.
But we all said that Turner isn't a good backup He's not going
No.
to push Ramsdale. So they went
No.
out there and said, you know what? Well, either we push Ramsdale, or if we can improve it, right? That's what we're looking at. We're thinking they think they've improved that position. Then you do that, right? Didn't cost them much to figure that out. 3 million doesn't cost much, especially if it turns out he's not better than Ramsdale. And if he pushes Ramsdale, perfect. But I just I don't want it to turn out next season we're back here again going. He's kind of he's not the same goalkeeper anymore because he doesn't have any pressure behind him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
um,
And the whole thing interests me. Which happened first? Matt Turner having the opportunity to go to Nottingham Forest, or David Raya being the player coming into Arsenal? Well, I wonder really which happened first.
I
Turner
think
would have
David
just left.
Raya paves the way
Yeah.
for Matt Turner.
To move. Yeah.
Yeah. But this kind of situation, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Szczesny and Fabianski. There was a stage, wasn't there, where they were both
Yeah.
keepers that were at a stage in their career where one of them really couldn't be a backup anymore.
Yeah.
They were both kind of like number one worthy, so to speak. And we made a choice, didn't we? We kept Szczesny and we allowed Fabianski to go somewhere else to be a number one.
For
The
sure.
number one goalkeeper for USA should be starting. So I don't necessarily think it's just Raya became available. So then Turner is expendable at that point because you're a starting goalkeeper for the U.S. You play behind Ramsdale. You still was able to keep your position, but in your heart you need more playing time to get better at your craft. That can't happen. That can't happen sitting behind Ramsdale. Not,
the recent.
I don't see it changing from the way it was last season for him.
Yeah.
So.
And the recent interview from Matt Turner sort of said he knew he wasn't going to get an opportunity behind Ramsdale. BX said Ramsdale looks the more likely against Brentford. So I think we will probably persist with David Raya. And if you're really being ruthless and you have your hand in your heart, you're probably thinking to yourself, David Raya is the better goalkeeper. I think we could potentially have won. If we're going to win the league, we could have done it with Ramsdale. But I feel a little bit more certain with Raya between the sticks. That's just my opinion on that one. Also, giving Raya a warm-up game before the Champions League was smart. Ramsdale looks more likely against Brentford. There we go again. Raya goes to Barca if we don't lock him down. Indeed. We have an option to buy, which we will almost certainly take. I think Raya is playing the North London Derby, and Ramsdale will play Carabao Cup. So that's popular opinion. Stan looks like he's got some words on his lips.
No.
Okay. Take us into the game then, Stan. 8 minutes in, Saka scoring, or do you want to go into the players? What do you want to do?
Well, it is nice to see us actually scoring early rather than it being the other way round and the opposition scoring against us early and we having to sort of play catch up. So that was a good start, wasn't it? And also as well, I mean, it's almost like a bit of a fairy tale, isn't it? It's Saka, the academy guy, who's one of our own, and he's the one. It's our first time back in the Champions League, and he gets our first goal. He really is the main man, isn't he? If you're looking at faces of Arsenal, if you're doing posters or video games, I mean, his face is he's front and center, isn't he? He really is the figurehead now. What I mean by that is in so much in a way that supposed Salah is at Liverpool. He's like their big main face. I think Saka. We've got a couple of others that can be in the picture with him, but I think Saka is the centerpiece, isn't he? I mean, how many games is it now that he's played in a row? 70 something,
82 or
86, 87.
82 or 84 games.
Really, it's up in the 80s. Well, there you go. I mean, that shows you what he's doing for his age, and it was a good goal as well.
No, definitely a good goal. Gary, if you would have picked one player, as Stan is saying, for the storyline, Bukayo Saka 3 or 4 years ago said he's going to restore Arsenal back to former glory, and here he is. He deserves to be one of the players who gets the first goal. After 6-7 seasons.
No, like he said, what is it? 2 or 3 years ago, he was playing left back, right back, because he needed to get on the pitch, and now he's got his spot solidified, and he is the leader, one of the leaders for this squad. I mean, just remember that it was Erdogan's shot that bounced off, came off the goalkeeper, and he put it away. So
Don't
yeah,
worry, we won't let you forget about that one because we're big Erdegaard fans over here.
yeah. No, and to think, I still feel like Saka hasn't even got up to speed yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't looked the way I wanted him to look. You know what I mean? Maybe he's going to get into that as the season progresses, but
He's
he's
sitting
still
on
got
3 goals.
Yeah, and I
4
think
assists.
and I will say there's
Mhm.
more in there for him. You know what I mean? That's where that's no. I don't think he's he's not like in fifth gear yet in terms of where I would expect him to be
Yeah.
based on what he's shown us in the past. But I don't think we don't need it. We're not missing it right now. But at some point he'll start clicking, and we'll just be goals and assists for a bit of time there. So no,
Yeah.
he's looked good,
And
and he look. We always he needs to rest and recycle. I think he doesn't get to do that, and people say, you know what, you don't ever sit your top players. All right, I guess if he's at that, if that's where he is,
oh,
he's gonna keep playing until either he calls it or hopefully it's not an injury. That's the other part.
okay. So I was thinking about this, and I knew we'd probably get to this part with Saka, but I was thinking about this driving today. Every player gets injured, right? Every player gets injured, and Bukayo Saka, we don't want it to happen, but he's going to pick up an injury sooner or later, and Mikel Arteta is going to be blamed. I can see it now. Do you think that's fair? I don't think it's fair to blame Mikel Arteta. Okay, he's playing him a lot, but he hasn't picked up an injury in 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, I
Of
mean,
note.
you
You
want
know
to
what I
be.
mean?
It's not like he's a Kieran Tierney, where every time he takes a tackle, you're thinking, "Oh no," you're wincing. You're thinking, "Is he going to be hobbled off the pitch?" Or much in the same way, Thomas Rosicky was another one. When he took a tackle, I used to feel those ones more than some of the other players. You're thinking, "Oh, is that
Jack
him?"
Wilshere.
Jack Wilshere, another one. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that he doesn't seem to be in that area. And we have a couple of players in our squad that I think are more susceptible to injuries. I don't know. I don't want to give them the badge injury prone, but someone like Tomiyasu comes to mind. They have muscle problems.
Zinchenko.
While they're recovering from one leg and recovering, the other leg goes bad as well. So they sort of things. Like, what's wrong with this person? They're recovering and they're still getting sick while they got their feet up. Obviously, they're doing some training and stuff in the pool or whatever, but there's a couple of those in our squad that we have, don't we? Thomas Partey's one. I think Tomiyasu's another one. I think Zinchenko and Kieran Tierney were other ones as well. Everywhere else we seem to be, maybe Gabriel Jesus as well. We have to keep an eye on him.
Possibly.
Maybe have to keep an eye on him. But everywhere else they seem fairly solid and just have those usual little injuries or niggles that players pick up. It's those players, isn't it? It's those players they get the injury and they're out for 3 months. You don't see enough of them.
So we play Bukayo Saka a lot. He gets a lot of minutes. And I think it's inevitable as well. He's going to pick up an injury at some point. But why should Bukayo Saka's injury be more of a thing than a Martinelli injury or a Partey injury? You know what I mean? Because injuries do happen. Just trying to
like to
stoke
talk, innit? And there's
conversation.
There's this common thread that Saka's been overplayed. So there's that. I told you.
If you feel, I think it's because we feel like he's our world class talent that we feel
he's carrying an injury now, isn't he? He's carrying an injury. My prayer is that it's not one of them situations where he has to have injections pre-game and at half time and play through the pain barrier. That's what I'm hoping for, because that's not good if only 6 games into the season. That's like, you're creaking, aren't you?
Yeah. And he was spared a few minutes toward the end here. I think 67 minutes he comes off, in preparation for the North London Derby. But yeah, I mean, injuries, I think injuries happen. And Martinelli's had one in the process of scoring a goal at Goodison Park. But we do have the squad, Gary, to overcome these things. Partey and Martinelli out injured. We've got Declan Rice and Trossard to fill in.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's the injuries, but there's also you see a dip in form, and you're like, well, that's another case of being able to rotate the players. And those are,
Yeah.
for me, if you're out of form, sometimes that could be because you're worn down. You know, so that, I mean, that's the thing that also we have to keep in mind as well. I mean, he is young, so yeah, he needs to be able to, you know, build into the situation where he's playing. I mean, how old is he now? 22?
Maybe 22. Yeah.
22?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
With Kyle.
yeah. So, yeah, so for me, he needs to be able to come off the pitch when for certain
we're winning.
situations, and sometimes he needs to. Sometimes they want him to work through it, and I just like, well, that's why you build a squad so you don't have to just work through it. You know,
Yeah.
get back to where you get back to the form that you've had. Sometimes you can just pull the player out and bring another one in. That's why we want a full squad. That's why I call for rotation all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, why we up a player and then like not use him in situations where you know what your starters just aren't working today. That
And
happens too, right?
looking over at Brighton, and the Zerbi will drop, I think, a Ferguson and put, Welbeck in at Old Trafford. Scores against the old club. He'll switch a goalkeeper as well. He's doing kind of similar things to Arteta as well. But I think your point is well taken, Gary, that Bukayo Saka could miss a game here and there, and we still wouldn't miss a beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I just don't think he has to play every game.
yeah,
That's all. I mean, it's the same way I don't feel like Havertz has to get into form by playing every game. I think there needs to be some
right.
sort of
I
rotation
just think
to to get your mind right. Sometimes you need to sit off. You know, we've seen it, right?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we've seen it with Saka, where we're like, he just doesn't look like the world class player people are thinking of, and that's
Yeah,
sometimes because he just plays all the time.
Do you
Saka's
think that,
bad game is better
do you
than
think
some
that
other
Gary,
players.
we know about this injury that he's carrying? Do you think that's now because he's been carrying it probably, they said, since the end of last season? Which makes me think then if your star boy is carrying an injury and you get to the end of the season, why not withdraw him from the internationals or whatever it is and get him straight off to a local medical facility to get repaired straight away?
Yeah.
And then, let him have a break when he comes back from that, let him have an holiday, rather than he's played through the summer, hasn't he? He's been gone away on international duty or whatever. He's been doing the preseason, and now he's six games in, and we find out that is it his hamstring or his
Achilles.
Achilles.
yeah,
Yeah.
is in quite is not good. So I'm worried.
Yeah.
You're just thinking. I'm just waiting to hear a twang.
Yeah, I
You know
think
what I
I
mean?
don't think I don't
Spring.
think you want to. I don't think you want to touch the Achilles unless you really have to. You know what I mean?
And do you think that makes it a target as well? Players, if you're the defender
Yeah,
and you got to go up against Saka and he keeps fucking twisting you inside and out, do you kind of think, well, I know there's a weakness and this is fucking Achilles?
And
You know,
we saw it last weekend at Everton.
yeah.
Mikalenko, Gary.
I don't. I think it's so. I mean, they always target him. They remember the Crystal Palace game. I mean, if that didn't hurt the Achilles getting kicked in the back of the leg the way that happened, then not. Yeah. I think he's going to be a target. As you say, he's pretty resilient. All right, and he pretty much doesn't really bother him a lot of times. So, I, no matter what happens, they're going to try to find out. I don't know why the information came out in the first place. It makes no sense. Because as you say, it kind of just puts a target on a part of the body. But maybe maybe the officials now will notice it a little bit more. It's like, why are these guys always kicking the back of his leg? Oh, right. So, but for me, a lot of times he just needs to beat his man first time, not wait for any support. Like when he gets space, he should just go. Yeah, they will try to bring him down, but most of the time he will get away. So, yeah. No, like I said, I don't understand why that information is out there. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't recall how that information got out there. It doesn't make any
Partey.
sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Partey gets injured before the Man United game. It comes out. There's a rumor, and then you see the club putting pictures out of a training session from weeks ago to try to say it was yesterday's training session and Partey's going to play. You don't want to give your
Did
yeah.
they?
They did that, yeah.
Yeah, and Arsenal doesn't. They're not good at that kind of
Yeah.
dark
There's
arts,
the
as they call it, what we want to call it. But they're not really good at it. So I just don't even bother.
it was
And we already know
Wearing last
if
season's kit.
if there's an inkling of Partey having a knock, it's true. You know what I mean? It
yeah,
hasn't. We've never like sat there and went, oh, it wasn't much at all. No, whenever he seems to go down, he goes down,
and
and he's out for a bit. All right,
that
so
was the day before the window slammed shut as well, as we know.
yeah,
But yeah, that happened. He went down injured. It's all over Twitter. Partey's injured. There's whispers, and then we see pictures from the club of probably 2 weeks ago, pictures of Partey training, which they said was the day before the game or whatever, the last training session. So, but I don't blame the club for trying to, keep their lineup secret for Ten Hag, not to be able to key in on some things.
Well, he did that pre-season. Do you remember? They went to him and thought, right, what's the lineup? He's like, I'm not telling anybody until right before. It's like a friendly pre-season, and he wasn't letting anyone.
Stephen, I hope you're recovering from that, from what you
Yeah.
have, Stephen. Hope you're feeling better. I thought Saka was our worst player versus Everton. I would give him a 4, but he got the assist on the goal, so I give him a 5. And that's the thing. Even Saka at 70% is going to be much better than a lot of players in the
Exactly.
team.
Still get something out of him.
no, I get that, but then what if like there are other parts of the game, like we've seen Saka go out early in a game, and we've seen Nelson come in and get a brace. So
yeah, you're right.
So
Okay.
it's not necessarily. Eventually you keep him out there, something good will happen for us. But if you don't have to because you have the squad, and unless
And
Nelson gets more time, unless Emil Rowe gets more time, we won't know.
yeah,
If they're going
how
to be the
good is
answers to those questions that we need to ask when things aren't going our way.
How good is that, Gary? I mean, if you're winning games, it probably makes you feel better about it, but you have players coming in contributing, players that we didn't think could contribute this season.
Well,
Nelson,
yeah,
Vieira, Trossard, even Tomiyasu, Gary.
yeah. Well, like I said, everybody except for Nelson isn't for me like establishes that yes, when I bring them in, they're gonna they're gonna contribute because I haven't seen enough of him. He hasn't had a chance to be able to do that. Like Tomiyasu, we've seen him multiple times. We've seen him start games.
Yeah.
Nelson, not so much. Jorginho has done it. Fabio Vieira, now we've seen him get that.
This season, right? Fabio.
Yeah, but Fabio is. But Nelson's been here for a while. He's been part of this squad, this team for a while. It's not like they don't know who he is, and it isn't as if they didn't just re-sign him for a reason.
Yeah.
Right. So he could have been gone. So he could have been gone. He's not gone. So then why would you keep a player around? You know what I mean? So I think there's a reason why they paid him. They signed him to a contract. It wasn't just
Reece Nelson is now showing it, right? He's repaying the faith that we have in him. Is that fair, Reece Nelson?
What you mean, like in the last game or two? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe even last.
I don't know. I don't know if that's. I don't know. We have to see. To see. Right.
We had to see with Fabio Vieira, and we would say Fabio stepped forward in the last 3-4 games.
Yeah.
Turned the game around for Fulham. Was a key part of Manchester United win, and came on again. He started against Everton as well, so did well. Fabio's being rewarded for what he's doing. Trossard. So Trossard is now getting a chance.
Trossard was for as far as I was concerned, was always there. They just needed to put him in the lineup.
Yep.
It wasn't like a question of can he do it for us? No, he's already shown that he can. So it's just a matter of like bringing him in. I mean, I think he's worthy of starts in the first team squad. He's gonna bring something different. So we should be able to bring him in for games. I mean, he's shown his worth.
Mm-hmm. Probably better than Martinelli, if you're being honest.
They bring different things. I mean, people will tell you that all the time. They bring totally different things to the game. All right. So you get different things from them, and depending on what the game situation is, you bring them in. All right. So
Well
yeah,
taken goal against PSV for that second
yeah,
one.
yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
I've
yeah.
been
One
kind
were
of
right. Yeah, go ahead.
I've been kind of protecting Martinelli for a couple of weeks, talking about, not having the same partnerships around him, and it's made him not look a little bit off the boil. But then I see someone like Trossard come into the team, and he fit straight in, didn't he? In that
Mhm.
position,
Yep.
I kind
Yep.
of looked at him and I was thinking, wow, I think that they kind of are similar in their play, in the way that they are very both direct. They both want to go towards goal if they can. But
Mhm.
some of the balls that Trossard puts in, and the way he can pick out players, and the last couple of goals, those first shot, one touch goals that he's been getting on target. In a way, I mean, obviously, I don't want Martinelli to be injured, but there's a flip side saying, well, he's now by choice, and where he's in the pecking order, he's getting the chance now to show it. And it's now
Yes.
a case of whenever Martinelli gets back, and if Trossard continues to maintain form, consistency, then it's up to Martinelli to work to get his chance to keep Trossard out, and that's how it should be.
Mhm. And in this season, of all seasons, we could say we are trying to fight on all four fronts, and there will be games for enough minutes for everybody. Somebody like Emil Smith Rose had to be patient. Trossard has had to be patient, but the games are coming for him now, Gary, and he's getting his chance. Trossard, especially.
Yeah, like I said, I don't question
Happy
Trossard
accident.
needing these games that you're talking about, because if it he already, for me, has cemented his spot in the team in terms of where he should be. And I think Arteta was just trying out this whole Havertz thing, and that was kind of holding him back from making any other changes. So no, Trossard, for me, should just be he should be an easy one to put into the lineup.
Especially.
Yeah. So I don't think it's like, yeah, I think he deserves to start. Right, he's that
He's
good,
got quality.
and yeah, yeah,
He's a quality player, right?
yeah.
Steven said, up until the Champions League game, I felt that Saka's performances were getting worse with each game. I actually feel Champions League was an anomaly as they played very open. Yeah, as Stan said, PSV are a very open team. I feel he's going to struggle in the North London derby because Saka.
I
Yeah, and
mean,
we're
yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, no. Well, for me, it's just a matter if he doesn't. Seems to he's hesitant sometimes, and that's what make you see Martinelli. He doesn't. He just goes at it.
Yeah, I feel
So
though that the way that we are coached or Saka is coached, you always see him curling back infield to pick up that ball and drive infield, whereas Marinelli's the guy who wants to go on the outside, on the left. So they're kind of two different players, and they attack in different ways. Um, that's how I see Saka and Martinelli. But Stan, that Trossard goal, great finish
Oh, fantastic!
for the
And
second one.
that's two in a row now that
Yep.
he's managed to direct into the goal with the first touch. And he's a really good player. I'm really glad that we've got him, and for what we paid for him, and the bullet that was
Snip.
dodged. The bullet that was dodged in McCallum Mudryk, which was the first preference, and the amount of money that we were going to
Can
shovel
you
out for
imagine?
that. I mean, you couldn't plan it any better,
Yeah.
And when he's in the team as well, and when he's on form, it kind of like gives us everybody else a bit of a spring as well. And you probably got to maybe say as well that he's probably one of the more mature players on our side. If you go through that age, and who's been in the game, for periods of time, he's probably he's 27, right? Almost 28.
Yeah. He's one of the more
Trossard.
senior players.
He's
Yep.
one of the more senior heads,
Hmm.
and I'm really pleased for him. And I look forward to seeing him in the North London derby. And I think North London derby, someone was talking about Saka going to struggle. I think the North London derby is a game that players are licking their lips to be a part of, and especially some of those players who may be playing in their first one and have seen it on the TV, like a Trossard. You know, they know that, you know, you have a good game in a North London derby, you can cement yourself with the fans, right? You know, somebody like Kai Havertz as well.
100%.
If
Declan Rice
Declan Rice, yeah, this is a
stuck
big.
in there.
This is a big.
Trossard has a hat trick at Anfield. I don't think playing at home for Arsenal with the team we have is gonna. He needs to cement anything.
No, but he's going to be licking his chops.
No. But think about it. He's
No,
already
I'm
played.
talking about with the fans. You know what I'm
He's
saying?
played
That's
the worst team, and he's done much better than Arsenal has at Anfield. He scored more goals than Arsenal has at Anfield, right? So I don't know. It's just, you know.
I just in that same sense as Freddie Ljungberg when he scored that goal against Man United early in his career. That was the one that kind of really cemented him, you know, with the fans.
The hearts of the fans. Yeah.
You know, there's certain goals against certain teams, almost a bit like the Lucas Torreira one in the North London derby.
Yep.
You know, his stock really went up, and a lot of people were, you know, we would do this podcast and we were talking about, oh, we don't really want him to leave, and I'm sure we can try and get a tune out of him, and you know, I'm getting at you know, you give some players a bit more leeway, a bit more favourable because of when they make their mark in certain games.
Yeah, definitely.
Overmars,
we'll have a quick chat about Everton when we finish the Champions League here. Trossard has become Martinelli before Aubameyang left. Plays great, but never gets a proper chance. For me, our best front five is Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, Ødegaard, and Saka. So, yeah, you want to play Trossard in that left 8, which is fair, you know. So 2-0 up. We're cruising, after 20 minutes, right? And PSV are looking for a way back into the game. I think they had a half chance they could have taken, but then the third goal maybe kills it, makes it a game that we can run out an easy win and sort of mentally and physically start preparing for the North London derby. But a cross from Trossard, Gary, and Gabriel Jesus, he kills that ball.
Yeah, we've seen those types of passes. I think there's Trossard, and I think Vieira also has that in him as well. I think he put a pass in like that as well late in the game, if I recall. So I think they both can put those passes in, which is really nice. But that Trossard, you know, like you said, I mean, I think it was really easy for us because every time like a long ball would come in, we would have the opportunity to trap the ball and then make a move. It wasn't like there's somebody barreling down on us at the point when the ball's coming and we got to think fast. So, yeah, that nice, push the ball down. The goalkeeper has no chance at that point. Really nice. I mean, he was knocking at the door in that game, right? He had a couple of opportunities, I think, before that where you're like, oof, he's missing some, you know, good chances.
He missed a couple. Yeah.
6 chances in the game.
Yeah, and I think at least 2 of them should have been goals. I mean, you know, we were up 2, but we could have been up, you know, 4. You know.
Yeah.
So he puts himself in some good situations. You know, there'll be, you know, we want to see it more than not, or at least can I get a 50-50? If he's going to get 3 to 4 great chances, 50% of the time, can we at least get 2 of those in? You know what I mean? And on a really good day, we'll get 3. You know what I mean? Because I mean that's what he's putting himself. He's putting himself in that situation. At some point, we need to, you know, it needs to bear fruit. You know, when you see that happen, you know, then we're closing out games faster, sooner, and giving people minutes and stuff because you know we are managing, you know, the game well, and players don't have to play 90. That's the other part to this. We don't. You know, we shouldn't have to play 90. We should be able to put away a lot of teams because of what we have either on the bench or what we start with. So
yeah, 100%. And we were able to do that in this Champions League game. But Stan, Gabriel Jesus, he sat down Dalot for Man United game, scored a goal there, and now he's followed up with another goal in the Champions League. A really good finish.
You really see what he brings to the team because that goal that he scored, I believe he started the move from a loose ball that he managed to get it out to Saka, and then it was like ping, 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 and he's at the back post to finish it all off. I mean, had that been Lacazette, who used to come very deep for balls, by the time I got up into the box, he'd still be waiting for the bus to get him up there.
Yeah,
so
true.
you can see what he brings to the team. But then the argument is that even though he comes so deep, then that's probably one of the reasons why his goal numbers aren't going to be so high. But he contradicts that, doesn't he, by having 6 chances in the game, even though he does play a kind of a very free role and comes deep a lot and helps out in the midfield. He still manages to get himself into good scoring opportunities. So we don't really want him to change his game because he's getting into those scoring opportunities.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, he needs a lot of chances to put them away, doesn't he?
Yeah. At
And he
least
scored some
3.
good goals in the last couple of games, but in this particular game, for example, he did have 6 chances. So if he could take his, get his percentages and conversion rate higher, wow, what a player we'd have on our hands. If he's playing like that and scoring 20 goals in the league with some more in other competitions, wow, that's like
That's a
that would
lofty
be
target.
very, good stuff.
Could it be that if, like, for example, Havertz, who I think he started the game, right? I think Havertz started. So if Havertz is in the box and attacking the goal, maybe he's there when Jesus doesn't put it away or anything like that.
The old
like
traditional
was, right?
big man and small man.
Because we keep saying that he's a big man, he's he's good having a box, but he doesn't seem to want to get in there and get a little dirty and get into spaces and stuff as much. So he seems like he's still trying to catch up to the speed of Arsenal. At some point it'll click. I don't think it's, for me, bringing him onto the team isn't something I need to see immediately work. But I just,
it can come.
It's okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to work immediately. I think a lot of people want it to work immediately, and I just don't think it is going to. And we're seeing it play out. So why push it? Because we're already saying that it's a confidence thing. He should be confident to know that they wanted him, and that's why they spent the money. So if he doesn't play every game, it's not because they're, it's not a negative. It's just part of being on a big squad, a squad with ambition, a squad that's deep. I mean, players have to just that should be already known coming in. You start, but you can't sit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does seem like a confidence player. Timber's injured, right? The other 2 players that have come in, the 2 main ones, outfield. The one in Declan Rice is imposing himself, and I think the game needs to come to Havertz a little bit. He needs to get a little bit more confidence, and a little bit like back in the day, Stan will remember a big one and a small one. If you play 2 up top, you got Havertz and Jesus together. It could be a tall striker and a shorter one. You know what I mean? That plays off of him.
And they should be able to switch, right? If Jesus does come back as he does, then
he could work around Havertz.
Could go in. I mean, we see it on the left hand side when Jesus will go outside. You'll see Martinelli come inside. Why can't it work in the middle as well? If Jesus comes back, then that might be that should be the alert for Trossard maybe to attack the goal. Because they're not expecting that, and he's supposedly good to be. It's supposed to be that's supposed to be one of the benefits of having him on the squad, is that when he gets into the box, you can't cross it into him, and maybe he'll head some home.
Yeah,
I think we have options. Like I said, I think he's still thinking out there. Thinking about what he's supposed to do next, as opposed to just going out there and playing like everybody else has.
Yeah,
Rice is a totally different situation, because for me, Rice was on. He's on this trajectory in his career. He's just been getting better and better every time.
Yeah.
So I think it's a totally different situation. So he was like, we didn't spend 100 on him, and expect them not to be able to come in there and take a starting position. You know what I mean? I think we pushed it a little bit with Trossard, but with Rice, I think we knew that he was going to be a starter, and we knew how we were going to use him. So
the Chronicle said Arsenal scored the 4th goal after we already subbed 4 starters off. So Odegaard's staying on the field. we'll talk about Erdegaard as well. Our Brazilian number 9, his name is virtually divine. Jesus will always shine. I'm not singing that. You don't want to hear me sing that. Moss is here. Shootout. I forgot. Then I messaged BX, remembered, told me, we're on tonight, Moss. How could you forget?
Every Thursday night.
Yeah. That was awesome yesterday. Sorry, late to the party here. Yeah, better late than never. Gary, what's this about Irish Spuddies?
Oh yeah. I was on Marley and Anthony. I don't know if you know Charlie or Marley.
Yeah,
They had a show today, and they had a couple of they had
Irish.
it wasn't that's a different show.
Spurs.
Channel was
Irish.
it? It was the Armory TV. They had
Okay.
a couple of
Gary's
guys
on so
as
many
well.
shows, you just can't remember which ones he's on.
I can't remember. I was just chatting in it, but no, they had a couple of.
Gary, ask a publicist. Maybe they'll tell you which show you was on.
Irish
True.
Tottenham.
I gotta go through the Rolodex. What was I doing on? No, I was just
Your fan club is following you, Gary.
I was having a lot of fun. Let's just say that.
FTSN.
One of the fans. I think he was kidding. I believe he was kidding, but he was making it seem like his team was really good.
We'll
for
get
a very
to
long time and all that.
Gary, you will be on Paramount Plus very soon, previewing Arsenal games.
I don't think I'm that good.
Super fan. Well,
yeah.
Some people are on there. You could do just as good a job.
Why not?
We can all accept Havertz is going to be a bust. Too early, maybe. It's okay.
Here's the thing. The reason why the only reason why he'll be a bust is if Arteta presses and pushes it. You know what I mean? We've seen this play out before, right? We saw this with Willian.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be. And I'll keep repeating it. He doesn't have to be good right now.
Now we got good
players.
What I mean? Yeah.
He can just fit in and grow with the team as he gets more confident in what Arteta's asking him to do. Because the one thing we were concerned about was his defense. That's the one thing he's doing well. I think that's because he's paying attention to that part of his game. But guess what? We brought him in here to give us, as Stan will know, was it 7 goals and 7 assists or whatever it is?
Right.
That's the number, right? That's the number, right? He needs to get that number as well because that's why we brought him in. The defense is that comes with the territory. If you play for Arteta, you have other responsibilities, and but I believe he also him especially needs to be able to get us some goals and assists as well. So,
and we know those responsibilities are important. We were talking about where we were 5 or 6 years ago, Stan, and we're looking at Man United, and they've shipped 4 goals against Bayern Munich, and Harry Kane scored. So we win 4-0, they lose 4-3. There you go, Man United. So jump into that or jump into Havertz or Rice?
Havertz. I mean, I saw some people saying that they felt that the PSV game was his best game yet. I mean, he's played 6. If you count the Community Shield, he's had 6 games now in an Arsenal shirt. If you count the Community Shield, me and you always said that we would probably look closer at him after 10 appearances to get a better understanding of him. My mind is still not made up. And I'm trying not to just judge him purely on goals and assists, just purely on that. I'm trying to look at maybe other things that he's doing. But I think what it is,
now, Stan. He's got
0
now, and 4 games left in your evaluation of him. So, are you going to expect any goals and assists in the next 4 games for you to go?
I'd like to, of course. I'd like that.
Can he do
of course,
something?
I want that.
Can he do something other than goal and assists in the next 4 games where you're like, it's going to work, where he gets no goal and assist, but he does something else?
He could do bits on Sunday. You never know. He could do bits on Sunday.
But I mean, with Kai Havertz, I kind of feel like I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit as well.
Sorry, I did interrupt you.
Gary is piling on right there.
He threw me a bone, and I just ran with it.
So Gary was, maybe this will help you, Stan. Gary was saying that showing the values of defensive stability that Havertz has that down, being defensively aware. But he's got to get goals and assists.
I just think that I remember what I was going to say now. The way that he's kind of playing at the moment, if it was costing us games, if that makes any sense, if he was kind of like at the heart of us, making big mistakes, then I think there'd be a bigger conversation. And even though he's not scoring or assisting yet, maybe because we've still been able to get through games in spite of him not doing that, it gives him it gives the conversation a little bit more leeway, because at the end of the day, when you look at the league table, we're doing all right in the competitions that we've played in so far. So I think maybe there's a little bit of that, because it's not been glaring. It's not been glaringly costing us points as such.
Like last season, Fabio Vieira maybe, or an Eddie Nketiah wasn't quite doing it, but we were still getting results in spite of the player.
Because we're a really good team, and we have I
10
think we're right now. I believe we have 10 players
and a goalkeeper that we can substitute.
Well, no, 10 players plus Havertz. You know what I mean? In terms of where they are actually, they're performing at whatever level they need to for what Arteta wants out of his players in certain positions, I believe. So that's why he's just surrounded by a lot of good players. So he doesn't have, we don't miss the things that he's expected to bring. Right. Maybe that's why we're not scoring as many goals, is because he's not there either.
And
helping enough in creating those chances for us by some of the offensive stuff that he needs to do. Defensively, we're not giving up that many goals, right? But offensively, maybe that's where we're lacking. So, like I said, if we had started somebody else in those positions for those first 4 games, where we have won all 4 of them, based on where we are, what we've seen come off the bench, maybe, right?
Yeah, most likely, probably. So, yeah. With all that being said, I think you're right. Maybe we don't see all of the defensive work he's doing. It's not as in your face as a goal or an assist is. BX said, remember that one time Nuno had Spurs top in September, then got sacked not long after that. Boss has given us his lineup: Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Rice, Erdegaard, Fabio Vieira, and then front 3 is Saka, Trossard, and Jesus. Would we start Fabio, Emil Smith-Rowe, or Havertz? I don't think you can start Emil Smith-Rowe just yet. He's just come in for 20 minutes in the North London derby. So then it comes down to Fabio or Havertz.
This isn't the game to bring in players that haven't really played more than 10, 15 minutes in a Premier League match.
Yeah.
So
that rules out Emil Smith-Rowe.
You know what I think as well, though? When you've got 5 substitutes, if it's like, who am I going to start? Teabag or Havertz? I think, to me, it's like, it doesn't really matter, because if you choose one, and for whatever reason they're a fucking nightmare, you can do something about it quickly. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and with that, I'm going to keep begging, please, Arteta, you can make a substitution at halftime. It's all right.
It's possible.
You can do it. It's allowed.
It's allowed. Yeah.
It's not restricted. It's not.
I love the substitutions in the PSV game. When he made those substitutions, I think I even pumped my fist in the air, because I was like, he's got it.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Saka, Jesus,
see him trusting people. Seeing Reece Nelson coming on. Seeing Teabag coming on. Seeing ESR coming on. When I saw ESR, my eyes went really. I was like, he lives.
Yeah, that was big.
The tales of his death battle are not true.
And Emil Smith-Rowe looked happy, really, really happy to be coming in as well.
He got a very good welcome, didn't he?
Yeah.
He made subs in the 58th minute, 2 of them. two, and before the 60th minute, he had made 2 subs.
Right.
I mean, and then he
Tears
made
in my
another 2
eyes, man.
subs in the
Sinchenko and
so,
Trossard. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but you know what? Once again, I don't. I mean, it's different than Premier League matches, but we need to be able to do a similar thing, I believe, in Premier League matches because I think players they need more time to get into the game. You know what I mean? I don't think they
Yeah.
can just come in and get 20 minutes and it work out sometimes, especially when we're not doing what he wants us to do, right? You know, if the
Mhm.
game's flowing and you're like
Yeah.
looking at what, damn, we had some more legs at this one position. I think we'll open this up and close out this match. And then you bring somebody in for 20 minutes. I can see it, but I think a lot of times it's just like it's just not working. You know.
So
So
I,
yeah,
I,
100%.
I always thought that Mikel's substitutions was one of the weaker part of his game.
mm,
You know, more often than not, I was never pleased with it was the timing of it or who he would, what some of the personnel he would use. But in that PSV game, it was kind of I felt like I really hope that's like the penny has dropped because I really enjoyed the way who he used, what he done. You could see him thinking ahead. Like,
Perfect.
we're
Yeah.
comfortable. We don't need to run certain people into the ground because we've got the North London derby, and I can trust these other faces on the bench and bring them in without feeling the panic, any panic.
So when you maybe not, maybe one of you or both of you were like worried about our depth, I was like, he's going to have to trust. Last season, I was like, he's going to have to trust these players, and especially coming into this season, he's going to have to trust his squad. When we doubted it, I even doubted it at points in time, but now we're seeing he's being forced to trust. Maybe he doesn't, maybe he trusts them, maybe he doesn't, but he's playing them and he's getting benefit from Fabio Vieira, Trossard, uh, whoever else, Nelson. Yeah, Gary's got a 10.
Can I say to McConnell, I know he's been in charge long enough, but I'm just saying that I always felt that as a chink in his armor. You know, when I look at him as the manager, I always thought he doesn't seem to. His substitutions always seem a bit odd to me. Whether it was
Yeah.
the timing
And
or or sometimes his refusal to go to the bench, if that makes any sense. But now,
Yeah.
to me, I'm just like he looks more comfortable about it. Maybe he trusts the people more. But
I
whatever
think
it is, I just saw that substitution at PSV, and I thought I hope he continues in this vein. I hope the pen
remember.
something has dropped and he can trust people.
Yeah.
And
Do you remember Stan?
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, McConnell.
Yeah. Do you remember Stan and Gary? The end of last season, I said the biggest thing that Mikel Arteta needs to do this summer is to look at his own performance last season and to understand where he went wrong. And I think we're seeing some signs of that. Sure, we've gotten players in that are going to help us immensely, like Havertz, Timber eventually, and Declan Rice especially. Declan Rice probably allowing him to do a lot more things. So yeah, I think. And last Sunday when he picked David Raya, he said, "Listen, I'm a young manager." He admitted it himself in an interview. I'm a young manager. There was a couple of times I wanted to do this radical change of bringing a goalkeeper in 2 games, and he didn't feel like he could do it because he would have got.
I don't understand how like that's what he's thinking about when. Can we just do the regular things right first? Like we always talk about that with a lot of our players, right? If they can just maybe dribble the ball, maybe take a clean hit, make a crisp pass, do the little things right, and then we can work on all the extravagant stuff, right? Switching goalkeepers in the middle of a match to change the style of play sounds like something an established manager is thinking about, maybe, but not somebody who's still trying to figure out how to do this thing for the first time. You know what I mean? So he's like trying to skip to the end of the book, to the last chapter in terms of like the advanced stuff.
Yeah,
Can we do the regular stuff first?
yeah,
Because you still need, like you said, we still need to figure out when to bring players in and out. When is a good time to rotate the players? Like there shouldn't be just, well, they're injured, so I'll rotate. There has to be a time when you just rotate players, either based on the team you're playing or because their form has dipped some, right? Saka's form dipping may get him closer to Nelson and never get him anywhere. Nelson, he has to dip down to Nelson's level as opposed to Nelson getting up to his level. But maybe that's what you need. And then when you can put Saka in late in the game, you're going to get, say, 30, 40 minutes of Saka in his, prime against a weakened defense. And you're laughing, right? So I think so I think those are the things I would imagine his fourth year is working on, those types of things there, not substituting goalkeepers, which I don't think anybody's heard that being, this is Pep and Klopp are like, yeah, it's been a while since but when I first started this coaching thing, I always wondered, when would I be able to bring in a goalkeeper to change the game the way it's going,
Yeah, but like I said at the start, if Pep did this, nobody's going to say anything.
Yeah, if Pep does it, everyone's like, what a genius! Oh my god! Wow, this guy. But I think, do you remember I think what's happened is Mikel went away on holiday during the summer, but he took with him the Football League rule book, which is probably like this big, and sat there on the beach and read all the way through it, all the way during his holiday, read everything.
Found the loophole.
And probably found a clause where it does not say anywhere that at no point can you field two goalkeepers at once. So probably in game, he'll take out an infield player, bring on Ramsdale, and we'll have two goalkeepers.
That would be interesting. Yeah. You don't really do that in football, Moss, but I think modern football challenges traditionalists. I know it's challenged Stan.
Well, see, for me, okay, all right, if you're thinking that, maybe I can change the goalkeeper, then I'm wondering, why can't you bring Trossard in more when you're struggling to find goals? Because that's where we were, that's where we were part of last season.
April, yeah.
We're just looking for the goals and stuff that we had in March. And you're like, can Trossard help us out with that? You're looking to close out a game at Anfield. Zinchenko looks a little iffy on the defense. Can you bring in a Tierney to maybe solidify that back line? Those are little things that we see as fans, and we're like, I think that might help us. And then you see it play out, and you're like, damn it, I wish you would have done that sooner, because it didn't look it looked iffy at best that it was going to hold up. Yeah. So so for me, he's the same way he's kind of pushing Havertz back out there when he's with a bum leg essentially. Take it easy, yeah. No, well, he's pushing like he did with Partey. This is one of those things I think also. It's like, let's just get all the good, because I think we have a solid team, a big squad now.
Sure do.
And those players that we want to depend on need more minutes somehow, right? Like the Nelsons, the Milsworth Rose, the Fabio Vieira's, Kiwior, we're going to need them to play in more than likely a big game, either substitutions, injuries, form, whatever it is. So they need to get the minutes now before we're forcing them out there. They need to get the minutes now.
Moss, I think we decided we'd go with Raya on Sunday, but
can I just add to that, though, because I was been thinking about that while we were talking, and we were comparing Mikel Arteta to Pep, and maybe Mikel has that similar thinking to Pep, where Pep can bring Mahrez into the team, Mahrez scores a hat-trick, and the next game he's back on the bench for whatever reason, who knows? But maybe it's a case of, well, as you said, well, Raya's kept 2 clean sheets. Maybe he'll stick with him. Maybe he won't. Because I say to me, the NLD is an important game, and by giving Ramsdale a game, he's showing him, don't worry, mate, you're not going anywhere. I still believe in you. But it's going to be interesting. I think it tells us so much when we find out who's going to be in goal for the North London derby. It really will tell us a lot, because if it is David Raya, then for me, that tells me that, I don't know what it tells me. Does it tell me that Raya's a number one?
I think
he brings back Raya.
Yeah. I think it shouldn't tell us anything, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's only because we shouldn't even know, right? It shouldn't tell us anything
It'll be interesting.
because it should be Arteta's. It's Arteta's
See,
his job. To see to do all that kind of stuff
whether
where the players come in and out of the lineup, and us fans just go with the flow because you know what, this is what he does. You know, and it may be because of form injury, but it may also just be he's got an inkling. You know how sometimes a manager will have this like, I don't think
the
it's
gut
gonna be, it's not
in the
gonna be
gut,
Jesus's day today
yeah,
or Saka's
yeah,
day today. You know what, Saka, you're gonna sit Nelson, you're in. You know,
you can't
and
explain it.
and Nelson
Yeah,
goes in there, has a really good game, or he doesn't, and you're like, well, you know what, Saka, you know what, this is how we work, right? You go in there and you're gonna go in there and you're gonna back up Nelson, all right,
yeah, yeah,
and see this thing out. So that's where we want to be as a club, right? Where you just play,
yeah.
and you're in the lineup, you're out of the lineup, it doesn't matter. You play, when
What
you get out there on the pitch.
now good Champions League chat here. We're gonna finish it up, the Champions League part of it, with a couple of other things. Erdegaard, is he reaching Kevin De Bruyne levels? I know I'm sort of driving this narrative.
Yeah, it's one of
Kevin
those
De
things that,
Bruyne, Gary.
we've had. You keep having the questions of world class and who's world class at the club, and I think we are still. These players still haven't had enough time to get to be considered world class just yet. He's doing really good things, and he'll have to do those same big things against, like for example, North London Derby this weekend. I think PSV
Hmm.
isn't really a good barometer for that. North London Derby after PSV, where we saw him, out, perform, needs to be able to back it up in this game because this is a big game for us, right?
Yeah,
And then we're gonna play, City in like 4 weeks from now or 4 games from now. Once again, then he'll have to show up for that one as well. And then you're like talking, that's when you're like comparing yourself to De Bruyne, right?
yeah.
I mean, I
I'm
mean,
gonna keep pushing it, but yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
agree
no,
with you.
he's. I mean, that's what he's gonna have to do because you're gonna look at, a lot of these top players you call world class, and there's gonna be games,
Every week.
and the player on the other and the team on the other end isn't Everton in 19th place or PSV, who when we played them, did they look like a team that hadn't that
Top of
only
the Dutch
given up
league.
one had only
Yeah,
given up one goal
yeah.
in the season, right? Did they look like a team like that the way we
No,
played,
no.
right? They, they scored 13 going into that match, came out with none, giving up four. I mean, they gave up, a third of the goals they've given up all season in that one match, right? So that's
I think
so
we played really
it's a
well.
good that's where we want to play against the teams that are at whatever level they're at. But when
Yeah,
we play, we know this is going to be a big game.
yeah.
Just one because of just the emotion of it. Players will be up for it. Fans definitely will be. The team players know this. So, and we performed well in the last two. We just have to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Have to do it.
Moss said Erdegaard so much the man and yup world class. He he's doing it again. Stan, 15 goals, 7 assists last season. Maybe
That's
he
just
looks like he's on 3 goals.
just spectacular, isn't it? You know, to score 15 goals from the midfield, and it's not like that's the norm. It's not like the next person was scored 14 or 13. It was miles away. What he's doing, he was streets ahead. He hasn't got any assists yet this season, but hopefully that will come as well. But
Okay.
he's taken those shots just on the edge of the box now, so well, so low and driven into the bottom corner that it's so difficult for goalkeepers to get to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what a profile to have as your captain. He's 24 years old, and he's still got the world at his feet. There's still going to be more to come, and it looks like that we are going to have him sewn up for the best part of his career. What more can you ask? I hate to say it, but it's just the way that I feel. He's doing everything that I always wanted to see Mesut Ozil do, and what I thought I was getting from Mesut Ozil. And I'm not just saying that to stick the knife into Ozil and give it a turn, but it's a true comparison. You know, when we bought Mesut Ozil, that's what I thought. What I'm seeing from Martin Odegaard is what I thought we was getting. And it's
Yeah,
quite
both.
fair to say that, in Odegaard's shorter snapshot time compared to Ozil's career, And I'm not talking about in the way of winning stuff yet, but just in, over a 90-minute game, what you're getting for Martin Odegaard, it's very good. It's a very high level, both
Yeah.
offensively and defensively. He really does pull the strings. He's first on the press. He leads the press. You just would not see Mesut Ozil doing that. And you can say, well, we didn't play that game, but if we did play that game and you asked him to do it, do you think he's going to be able to? Do you think he's going to even want to do it? No.
Same initials, came from Real Madrid, but we're getting different things from the player as well.
I mean, I get the comparisons and stuff, but some Father Time wins every damn time, and it was winning for him. I mean, we didn't get the Ozil from the previous years, so it's hard to you've seen Ozil at his peak, right? And has Martin Odegaard got to that level yet?
No,
probably not, right? So he's got time. So he's still got time. So I think he's getting there, and we thought we got hit lightning in a bottle, and we did not get it with Ozil. It just did not work out. I mean, same thing with Aubameyang. We got good 2 years of Aubameyang, and then it just fell out. The floor just fell out beneath.
And I think that was the approach from the club 6-7 years ago, to bring in established players to get us over that hump, get us into the Champions League. We didn't win the Europa League final under Unai Emery, and apparently Aston Villa lost a tough game today as well. I saw a little meme of Unai Emery not looking too happy. But yeah, Odegaard has really been stepping up. Now,
I was just before you move on. I saw that comment in there, and he definitely is getting the hockey assist as many times as we've seen.
Yeah.
Seen that play where he makes that nice little pass to Saka, who runs it down before he gets up to the goal line and then comes back in. We'll see it all the time. Eventually, they will try to cut that out, and all he'll do is just step in and boot it, right? Or cross it to the other side or cross it into Havertz or whoever's in the box, right? So that's what. That's where he's going to progress with that thing. So yeah, he does get the hockey assist, and that's why you don't see it. But he is working, and we talk about this working thing. But if you can go back and look at the work he's putting in, and then see the goal that comes out of it. Probably 9 times out of 10, we're seeing that, right? The work that he's doing. So he is like building things up. It's like sometimes we don't say much about Partey, but then you go back and look at the game, and you're like, without Partey there, wow,
I disagree with that comment.
Sorry. Yeah.
I just disagree with that comment because Odegaard didn't come to us as a finisher. That's something that's been added to his game through what he's been doing in coaching. If you remember after that first part,
has it been added?
They've said we want him to be, they said we want him to be more decisive in the box and go for goal more than the pass. So even at such a young age, he's been able to pick that coaching up and add that to his game, whereas Mesut Ozil was never able to do that over 7 seasons.
One question: has he had to add that to his game because we had Lacazette, because we had Eddie Nketiah, because I
think he had it in there. I just think he just was, for me, hesitant to take the shot.
Tap it into,
because even last season, you guys, we saw the 15 goals. We saw the 15 goals, but even I was screaming for him to shoot a lot more. Because he is a much better finisher with the ball from distance than most people on the team. I think Trossard will want to have that competition as well. But I think Erdegaard with space there, we've seen it with some of his free kicks, right? I'm like, yeah, that's why I want him to shoot more. Because he can do that, you know what I mean? We saw it like two years ago, and I think it was a Norwich game. He took a free kick, if I recall, and I was like, "All right, he's really good with the ball, with space and time to put a ball out." I want him to shoot more when he gets it, especially when he's not seeing a good pass to anyone. Just take the damn shot. I'd rather him take that shot than let's try to build up, and then we see the attack just die. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He could have had more than 15 goals last season. That's how good I think he was. That's how many opportunities I think he turned down. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He got
Yeah.
15. I think he turned down a lot throughout the season.
So, I think he's doing some Kevin De Bruyne type things now in the last season and a half.
Very much so, but I think that in this environment, he's been encouraged to get into the box, and if you find yourself in the box, go for the shot, much in the same way that we did with Emil Smith Rowe. If you remember, that was a big thing about
Yep.
building him up when he came into the squad.
Yep.
It was mentioned a lot in a few interviews, wasn't it? We were asking
All or
him,
nothing. Yep.
we were asking him to take more, and I think it's a similar the way that we play. We encourage the players in those positions to want to go for it.
I
So
think
I don't think it's a case of different playing styles, and I'm sure that Mesut was encouraged in the same way by the coaching to go for goal more. But it's good that
we
you've got a player that can pick that up, run with it, and you see what the dividends it paid. 15
yeah,
goals for
yeah.
midfield is
We
fantastic.
I think we've seen it in the All or Nothing documentary. We can't underestimate the effect that the coaches are having on the team as well by taking these players into a one-on-one situation, showing them some footage and saying, "Look, Martin, you could do this. You could score goals if you just believe in yourself, take a shot, and the rest is history," as they
Yeah,
say.
yeah. And
Um,
if you watched, if you watched in the, when I watched the replay of the game a couple of times, there's multiple times where a lot of our players aren't even ready to shoot. I mean, that's why we don't even get the shot off sometimes. Like they let the ball get to their feet before their foot placement is just for me. I always believe footwork is really key to a lot of the sports,
yeah,
and shooting it, you have to be in a certain position to be able to shoot the ball. And a lot of times we're not. That's why we never even got the shot off. We just trap the ball and then try to make a move. And we saw that with the Trossard goal, right? Saka put a nice little, pass in there, and Trossard just put the laces through it essentially,
yeah.
right?
What's
And then,
that?
then then you see like how you see Erdegaard get the ball and then move off to his left and take a shot. A lot of times our players aren't in a position to actually make that first move, so they can't open themselves up for the shot, and that's why they never get the shot off. It's just for me that's footwork, takes practice and stuff, and you have to be really good at it.
I
We've seen
think
Erdegaard is really good. His feet placement is really good. You see him make all these little moves with his feet, and you're like, a little like pass. You're like, what the what? How did he do that? And you're like, because he takes a lot of practice, and and then you just let your body take whatever the defense gives you, and he does that really well. So yeah,
um, I think you're referencing maybe the goal at Everton as well. Was that a was that a set piece move for the goal?
I don't remember.
The
I
Everton
just
goal. So short corner comes
yeah
to Fabio Vieira on the edge of the box, and then we do a kind of a wheel action where it comes to Erdegaard plays Saka in. Saka's waiting on the shoulder of the defender, plays Saka in, the cut back to Trossard, and first time shot steered onto the upright and in the goal. So just wanted to call out that Everton game. And Gary, you were doing the watch along with Ryan. I was actually in the pool, and that was a nervous game for me. I think it was a nervous game for all of us watching that Everton game, knowing we needed to win because City had won. I was getting out of the pool every 10 minutes checking the score,
yeah
and we did
yeah
score on 69 minutes.
yeah it was yeah I kind of forgot that game, but yeah, it was. It,
Great Trossard.
How many
Yeah.
times are you gonna play them when they're like sitting 19th in the table and we're struggling against them? You know what I mean?
They're a bogey team for
Str-
us.
Struggling. We need to get over that. Get
Yeah.
over it.
They're a
So
bogey team for us. So listen, that's it. We're in good shape. Champions League Lens and Sevilla drew 1-1. I think we struck a big blow in this Champions League group by winning against PSV. And if we take care of business, we could trot out some very poor teams in the last two games of this competition.
Well, the other
Like
two games
poor
had a
as
draw.
in
The other two games
hmm?
had a draw. The other game had a draw, so that gives us
Yeah,
already a 2-point cushion.
2-point cushion already. We're going to go away to Lons, and we should really take control of this group with another win. And like I said, the last 2 games of the group, it should be a very mixed team that we're protecting ourselves for the Premier League moving forward. So any other thoughts on the Champions League and the Everton game? We'll jump into Northern Derby next.
No, we came out like
Hold your,
came out.
hold your,
We put a big marker out there, and as you said, we probably have at least a 4-goal. We have a 4-goal difference on everybody. So yeah, even
just as a segue, I'm going to mention Declan Rice, who has been immense, as a bridge between the Champions League and the Everton game to this North London derby. I think Declan Rice is really, really starting to show his influence in the game and winning balls back up at Everton, especially.
Yeah,
when
there was a play in the game yesterday. Ben White loses the ball and like immediately goes back
I
and
want to
retrieves
mention
it.
Ben.
Right. So like you said, like Rice is doing it, and now you got Ben Rice doing that, and it's like, yeah, just because you took the ball off of us doesn't mean you're gonna keep it. And that happened so many times, right? So many times we saw PSV with the ball, and it's like next thing you know, we're there just taking it off of them and like resetting and getting right back into it again.
Yes. The other thing, so Declan Rice has been immense now in the last couple of games. Ben White, a little bit of shithousery with his hands there, pulling that player down. He's got to be a little bit careful. He doesn't get 2 yellows in that fashion.
He did it on purpose. It wasn't that wasn't a mistake. So
still a yellow. It's still a yellow card.
And it was to slow down, slow them down. Like, hey, buddy, no, not today.
It's still a yellow card, though. We wouldn't want.
We want that once in a while, and that was.
I love it.
Yeah, it was a timely one. So, like usually, we don't want the silly ones. That was actually a good one at the point in the game, right? So I think it was towards the end of the half where they were thinking they were going to get something going, and we're like, no, and he killed it right there. So. Yeah.
Ben White is just a superb footballer as well.
The way that he's able to move between centre back and being at right back, and just looking good at being able to do both things. Both he and Declan Rice take up really are very good at being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and Declan Rice is using his power, his pace, his physicality. I loved what he did to Luke de Jong as well in that game. He really went physical on him. And yeah, it was probably not intentional, but Luke de Jong really took exception to it. And Rice was not having any of it, Okay, North London derby. Here we go. This Spurs team looks different without Harry Kane. Looks maybe a little bit better with the additions. And got to go to the manager first. He's doing a good job. I still want him to cry at the weekend and not be happy. But he does seem like a very nice person, Ange.
Stan, we hate him.
Stan hasn't. He's saying all the right things. He's doing all the right things. He's got the PR thing going for him, Stan. But we're not going to like him on Sunday. That's for sure.
No, he's their manager, so that's all bets. All bets are off. And even if you think about our team and their team, and you were going to do a combined 11 for the North London derby, I don't think there's a Tottenham player that would get in based on current form.
Maddison?
Ahead of who?
Havertz.
Vieira?
Yeah, that left 8.
Maybe, okay. Anyone else?
Richarlison.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Kulusevski's pretty decent, but he wouldn't be better than Saka. No, I wouldn't change anything other than
not even Son, right? Not even
Maddison.
Son in current form.
Madison's pretty decent though.
So there you go. That's all you need to you really all you need to look at, really, of where we are to where they are. And I'm not going into this game with any fear at all.
Is the fear that they're slightly better than they
But what?
were?
They have a better. They have a better. They have a better.
A
As they
weaker.
say, plan. They have a better plan to play football as like 11 players, as opposed to, all right, Harry Kane, we're going to need you to save us.
Structure. Yeah.
So, but we're better all across the field. So, where like you said, they might have Madison might have one over on us, but everywhere else we are much better than them. So no matter what they do, they're inferior in that sense, right? You
Yeah.
have the better goalkeeper, pick one. We got, right now, the way that we're playing, even if we went to Nketiah, we're not taking that significant of a drop, right? We know Vieira can show up and play, and Vieira could play in this game, and we wouldn't feel too bad about having him come in, right? Trossard can come in, no drop there, right? I guess he will most likely start anyways, but yeah, no matter how they're going to play a better style of football, but we got the better players, and that always helps. The better coaches, they always talk about, well, if Pep was coach, yeah, he's coaching better players, so it looks better. So
yeah, that Udogie is a young player, but he's been showing up for them, and I do think they're a better outfit now overall. That Harry Kane's moved on, and they have a little bit more structure. They have
You don't think they're
players who
weaker without Harry Kane?
I think they're better without Harry Kane.
You've got to make up for those goals, 20 odd goals, whatever it is that he scores every season. You got to cover those. Who's going to cover them?
They have a better brand of football in the sense that all 11 players play as one, but they don't have, like, you can't just take Harry Kane out of the lineup and then go, all right, we're better now. I don't see it. We'll see how they play out, how the season plays out.
Yeah.
Right? Because even like this season, it might play out better for them because they don't have international football. But in reality, like, if this same team had international football, would we probably say they're going to struggle, right? So
this is an interesting weekend because you've got Liverpool, who I think are up there with us, and they're playing West Ham, who have been doing well as well. So these two contests, Liverpool, West Ham, and Arsenal, Tottenham, these results could separate the real contenders away from the pretenders. If Tottenham are the pretenders, if West Ham are the pretenders, then Liverpool, Arsenal, City will move on as being the three main protagonists for the league. The other things, well, Stan, Madison versus Erdegaard will be interesting.
Yeah. And
but you just said he's world class. Is Madison world class? So it's not even a contest, right?
Correct. I believe Erdegaard's the better midfielder of the two. Yes.
You believe or no? He is the better midfielder. There is no thing. There's no hesitation.
He is. Erdegaard is better than Madison. I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with us going for Erdegaard over Madison, the way things have panned out. If it was a question of Havertz or Madison this summer, who would you have gone for, Gary?
I would have went for the player that was coming in trending better, which would have been Madison for me.
Yeah.
Havertz, like I said, is a project, and we got to recoup. We have to recuperate, but we have to get him back into a form that he's lost over a number of years, as opposed to he was just on a bad team. There's a lot more to it. So yeah, I would have taken Madison. I don't know if Madison has he might not have that mindset that Arteta's looking for, because we always feel like certain players, just the way they are, just doesn't fit into the kind of player that Arteta wants. So maybe Madison has that kind of demeanor that just doesn't fit into Arteta's, like,
Jack Grealish
it's gonna work. Yeah, I don't think Jack Grealish isn't playing for Arsenal.
No, probably not. Jack Grealish would not play for Arsenal under Mikel Arteta.
I think if you was looking at Arsenal as a rating, and there's like 5 stars, and let's say our rating is 4.5 stars, if you took out Havertz and put in Maddison, that half would go up to a full one, and you'd have 5
Yeah.
stars.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That's what I think is the difference. Had we got Maddison instead of Havertz, it doesn't mean that Havertz isn't gonna improve and start adding goals and assists. But you look at
Right now.
James Maddison right now, and he looks like he's been playing for Tottenham for a while.
Yeah, if we would have Rice, Erdegaard, and Madison, that would be a very decent midfield for Sunday. You know what I mean?
And that's why it's clicking, right? It's clicking. I mean, because you pick the right players and they fit in. They can adjust to whatever you put out there. So yeah, I mean, Timber came in. Did anybody think Timber was going to be playing, moving into the middle and stuff like that when we brought him in? We always thought he was just going to be a fullback
No.
on the right. He turns out he can
No.
play fullback on the left. Then he can come inside if he needs to, invert. All those things, like they saw of him that you didn't see as much of it. I think at Ajax. So yeah.
Saliba and Gabriel at the back, very solid against Richarlison, Kulusevski, and Son. Richarlison scoring his first goal, I think, for Tottenham. Is that his first career goal?
I think it is.
Since last season.
Yeah, he didn't score at all. Yeah.
And I think Sheffield United, a little bit hard done by there last weekend, losing 12 minutes. I think there was 12 minutes of extra time at that game.
Yeah, a lot of minutes. Yeah, you have a 1-goal lead. You need to be able to hold on to that at some point. Come on. You just put more people in a box. They're not going to get through. That's what teams do to us, right? Like the game's coming to an end. The last thing they're going to want to do is give up a goal. So they just make sure it doesn't happen. And Sheffield United opens up and gives up 2 goals in extra time. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'll take some of that for Arsenal. We might need that once in a while, right?
Yeah. Listen, we've had games like that, but this midweek we had probably the perfect game stand. 4-0 win without incidents against PSV. Quietly did our business, and we were able to power down some players to go into the North London derby with a game. Probably no rust in our legs.
Yeah, we go in there as well with a massive spring in our step, coming off of the back of 2 wins, an important one in the league as well at Everton. We managed to get that dodgy stat rubbed out. First time back into the Champions League. Some of the fringe players getting used. I think we played Tottenham in good shape, very good shape. You couldn't ask for a better state of mind, I would imagine, to be in going into that game. I mean, you're looking forward to the next game. You want that game to come now as a player.
Yeah, I believe it was BX who said it during the week. If we win on Sunday, we'll have had a better start than last season. After 6 games, we won 5 and lost 1. We'll have had that one extra point from last season, which is important. You stack those results against what we did last season. Of course, we beat Fulham at home, so we dropped 2 points there, but we beat Everton on Sunday. So we're actually a point better off in the similar fixtures from last season, if you know what I mean. That win at Goodison is important, so they'll be feeling those vibes from last weekend as well, having won that game. They looked like they were going to lose, and they turned it around. Of course, North London Derby is going to be different. The emotion is going to be different, and we need to set a tone here and give them their first defeat of the season.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yep.
As BX said, Spurs are getting their first L of the season come Sunday.
Yes. And you get an L, and you get an L, and you get an L.
Yeah. Start handing out L's. It's important as well. This first few months, we have these important home games. We've beaten United at home, and now we got to follow up and beat Tottenham at home. You know. Yeah. So Declan Rice, I think he's been integral. He's come forward. He knows the Premier League, and he's come forward and been showing great performances for us. I think we're going to wind it up here, though, unless there's anything else you want to bring, Stan, Gary.
No.
Yeah. So.
Nah. No, we got a big
What
game
a
coming
good
up
week,
this weekend. Need 3 points. Let's just keep stacking 3 points on 3 points. Let's just do that. Yeah, I have 3-0 as my score. I think we're good for 3 goals in anybody. So 3 goals and a clean sheet at home. We haven't got a clean sheet at home in the Premier League yet. So why not?
Except for the Champions League. Yeah,
No,
not
we
Premier
don't
League.
have. Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So like it. Yeah, so we need a clean sheet in the Premier
Corrected
League.
myself.
Yes. Why not? The North London Derby would be the perfect place for that.
I think they're good enough to get 1 goal. So
No, they're not good enough to get 1 goal.
3-1. I do like Ange though as a person, but I do want Arsenal to beat them. Stan, throw a prediction in there and we'll get out of here.
4-2.
Yes. Yeah, that gives me Torreira vibes. 4-2.
They can get their sympathy second goal late in the second half.
Yeah, a lot like Man United against Bayern.
I think we do a game as well where a player gets a brace.
Right.
One player gets a couple of goals.
So who's getting a brace in this game then?
Havertz.
You know what? I was watching a show, and I don't know if you guys know that the Deji Spurs. Of course,
were you on this one or are you watching this?
I was just watching it, and I was kidding with him. I was just like, Havertz and Nketiah will get goals because because he makes fun of them, but that would be the perfect way to seal it. Havertz gets goals, Eddie comes on, seals it. We're laughing, right? So.
Well, we are laughing right now. We've only dropped 2 points in the league so far. We beat Tottenham. We have had a better start to the season after 6 games than we did last season. Man City have started really strong, and we have to keep on their coattails. I don't remember who Man City are playing, but I think they will. I think I saw that they should beat whoever they're playing. So again, we'll be playing on a Sunday, trying to catch up to a 5-point gap, probably. Champions League is in good shape, and next Thursday we'll be talking about a Carabao Cup tie with Brentford. So that's where we are.
City plays Forest, so
they should win. And Matt Turner is not going to save everything.
Luton might get a point this weekend. They're home to Wolves.
Okay. We'll see. Gary, thanks for joining tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I had a really good chat. Stan, thanks for joining.
Pleasure as always, and thank you to everyone that came in and joined us for the show.
Yes, everybody in the chat. Thank you.
Life can't be much better. We're an Arsenal podcast. We're not a Manchester United podcast, and we're having fun over here, and they're raking through the coals at Manchester United. So keep that one in mind. Take care, everyone. Thanks, Stan. Thanks, Gary. We're out of here.
Thank you.
See you the weekend. North London.